My lawyer boyfriend proposed to me the day he came ashore, only to be approached by a friend of his from his hometown who was pregnant. He gave her the diamond ring he was supposed to give me on the spot, and told me, as if he was giving me a handout, that you've been with me for 10 years, and I'm not going to leave you behind. Isabella was generous and didn't mind the two of us being together. From now on, you will call each other sisters. From now on, you will stay home and take good care of Isabella and the children. And I will help you manage your family's business. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. After all, I'm the one who gave up the easy life of New York's high society for 10 years in order to accompany him to study hard in a small house. The family had been waiting for him to come back and get married, planning to give us the family business as a wedding gift. However, what he didn't know was that the moment his little friend came to the door, I had already agreed to the marriage arranged by the family. I finally laughed enough and turned my head to Isabella. Sister? Nathan smiled, looked at me with satisfaction, and said, Isabella accompanied my parents in the old home for 10 years, and also waited for me for 10 years. The heart she gave to me is not less than yours at all. Olivia, you have always been understanding and generous. You must be able to understand me in this matter, right? A few of his friends from the same hometown followed suit, saying that his sister-in-law, who took care of Nathan's parents for 10 years and is now pregnant with Nathan's child, deserves the title of Mrs. Gold Medal Lawyer. Olivia, you city girls are more liberal and not honest like my sister-in-law. If Nathan doesn't marry her, she'll be gossiped about behind her back in the village. So you'll think of the big picture, right? They all look at me expectantly, hoping I'll compromise like I did before. I won't compromise for him this time like I did before. I took out my cell phone and called the landlord in front of them, telling him that I was going to back out of the lease and that the deposit would be compensation for the early termination of the lease. Nathan's face immediately turned ugly and asked sternly, Olivia, what do you mean? The house will expire in a month. Where am I supposed to live after you back out of the house? I laughed coldly and calmly said, Barrister Nathan is getting married. Will he still have no place to live? Also, as of today, we are broken up. I didn't want to waste any more time on him and turned around after that. Behind me came the voices of a few of his friends, telling him to hurry up and chase me. But Nathan laughed in disbelief and said, Leave her alone, she simply can't stay away from me. And will definitely come back on her own within 3 days. Hearing that made me feel a little hard inside, but that emotion quickly dissipated. I went straight back to my own home and lay down on my big, comfortable bed, unable to hold back a sigh of relief. Before, in order to take care of Nathan's self-esteem, I could only reluctantly live with him in that cold and damp underground rental house. In order for him to concentrate on his exam preparation, I gave up my previous life of dedicated care, took on all the living expenses, lived a very tight schedule every day, and had to work hard at a few jobs to earn some money. Nathan is very sensitive and a little low self-esteem. In the 10 years together, I also have to give him emotional support at all times. As long as he is slightly unhappy, will blame me. For this, I secretly cried many times at night. How much aggression in my heart, only know. Now think about it. I was really stupid, thought I paid so much for him, and when he succeeded, he will definitely be with me. For him, I refused the marriage arranged by the family, and even got into a very bad situation with the family, making my parents sad for a long time. I finally came to my senses the very moment he betrayed me. It was only a month later that Nathan called me again, when I was at the wedding company, choosing the style of my wedding invitations. As soon as the call was answered, I heard him asking anxiously, Olivia, what are you doing? Why haven't you paid the rent yet? The landlord came today and threatened to move me out if I didn't pay. Do you know how embarrassing it is to be scolded by the landlord blocking the doorway? I didn't get angry. Instead, I laughed and teased him, saying, Nathan, you're a big lawyer and you can't even afford to pay the rent. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at when you say it? Besides, we've already broken up. And I'm getting married soon, so please don't call me again after that. On the phone, Nathan's voice raised, Marriage? Who are you getting married to? Who could you really be marrying? Olivia, I understand you're gambling with me, so you're deliberately saying you're getting married to irritate me. Stop it. Just transfer the rent to the landlord. When I take over your family business, I'll be able to make money and I'll take care of you from now on. After Isabella and I's wedding, I'll pick you up and bring you back. Don't worry. Isabella and I have agreed that from now on, she will stay in the hometown to take care of my parents, while you will stay in the city with me. Hearing his familiar patronizing tone, I also said coldly, Nathan, can you really not understand what people say? We've broken up, so please leave me alone. After hanging up the phone, I immediately pulled the plug on him, not wanting to let this smug ex-boyfriend affect my wedding mood anymore. Coming out of the wedding company, I received a call from the bridal store. A month ago, my union partner specially customized the wedding dress for me today, finally arrived from abroad. I excitedly rushed to the bridal store today, and just as I reached the door, I met some familiar friends, the ones from Nathan's hometown. I frowned and tried to walk past them, but the one in the lid stopped me and said in a sarcastic tone, "Oh, if it isn't Nathan's loyal fan now. How dare you come over here knowing that Nathan is accompanying your sister-in-law to choose a wedding dress today? This time you are quite calm, actually waited for a month to come to Nathan?" I pushed him away, not wanting to get entangled with him. I didn't realize that I had just walked up a step when I bumped into someone. Nathan looked at me from above. Didn't he say he was going to break up with me? What are you doing running over here again, Olivia? Do you still want to use this little trick? Normally I can let you pout, but not today. I mustn't let you affect Isabella's good mood. After he finished speaking, his eyes filled with tenderness as he swept the hall of the store, where Isabella was standing in front of a booth picking out a wedding dress. We've been together for 10 years, and he's never looked at me with such eyes. And in front of him, I had long since put away my little temper, because I knew that even if I lost my temper, he wouldn't coax me. He only treated me with indifference. And in the end, I took the initiative to give in to him, and I was even accused by him of not knowing what to do. By now, Nathan's face was showing impatience, and his eyebrows were furrowed. I knew this meant he was on the verge of losing his temper, and when he used to look like that, I would behave. This time I rolled my eyes at him before walking right into the store. The clerk saw me come in and immediately greeted me warmly. Nathan was about to lose his temper, but when he saw the way the clerk was treating me, he fell silent and looked this way suspiciously. Isabella was happily picking out her wedding dress, but seeing that woman present, her face immediately turned serious, and she asked accusingly, Nathan, why is she here too? Are you going to buy her a wedding dress too? Nathan saw that she was about to cry, and quickly and gently comforted her. I said I would only organize the wedding for you. How could I possibly buy her a wedding dress? It was because she wanted to be greedy for pomp and circumstance that she wanted to buy her own wedding dress, and forced me to give her a wedding too. Even though I have decided in my heart that I don't love him anymore, hearing him say something like that still makes me feel a tightness in my heart. Isabella heard his words and a smile appeared on her face again. She glanced at me and said with sarcasm, Olivia, although I agree with you being Nathan's mistress, you don't want to be my equal. It's already very hard for Nathan to have you by his side, and to even want a wedding is so naive. I smiled slightly, feeling a little cold inside. Not wanting to bother with this revolting pair, Nathan looked shocked to see that I was throwing a tantrum just like before. Just then, some of his friends came up to him and followed. Olivia, if it wasn't for the fact that you have to help Nathan manage the family business, you wouldn't even be qualified to be Nathan's mistress, you know. Even if Nathan is on his own, he will definitely become one of the top gold medal lawyers in New York in the future, which is much better than running a failed business. Moreover, Nathan is really a family man who knows how to take care of his family. He has a wise sister-in-law at home and a passionate sister-in-law outside, which always makes us singles feel especially envious. Nathan's face was full of self-satisfaction, but his expression suddenly froze in the next second. I walked out of the fitting room wearing a limited edition wedding dress handmade by a top foreign design team, and everyone was stunned, especially Isabella. The jealousy in her eyes couldn't be hidden at all. She said with dissatisfaction, Olivia, you're a junior who actually dares to wear such a good thing. I was helpless and looked at her coldly. I spent my money. What's wrong? She was so angry that her eyes turned red, turned her head to look at Nathan and cried out. Nathan immediately serious down. The tone is very heavy. You even let Isabella cry, quickly apologize, and then take off the wedding dress to give Isabella? I said before, I will only give Isabella a wedding once. You want a wedding dress, and what is the use? I also find it ridiculous that I broke off my relationship with my family for such an immature person in the first place, and rejected such a suitable marriage partner. But before I could say anything, Isabella cried even harder. Nathan whispered uncomfortable words and walked up and tried to rip my wedding dress and force me to take it off. It's unlikely that you'll ever wear a wedding dress in your life anyway, so since Isabella likes that one, you can just let her have it when we finish the wedding next week. It's okay. I'll book you a ticket on the honeymoon so you can stay with us too. In the midst of the scramble, the wedding dress suddenly split and the hem was torn wide open. I was very angry. It was a customized wedding dress especially made for me by my fiancé, worth $1 million. Now, it was actually screwed up by this Nathan guy because of Isabella's words. My eyes were red and I said coldly, Nathan, I have already said that the person I am going to marry is not you. Do you really not understand what people say? Nathan froze for a moment and then smiled and said, Olivia, you've been so good to me for 10 years. Who else would you want to marry if not me? Since Isabella can't wear this wedding dress, it's even more important that you don't want to wear it. After he finished speaking, he stepped hard on the wedding dress, and the white wedding dress was soon stained with black footprints. I was about to get angry when the manager of the bridal store came rushing in and whispered into my ear. The manager told me not to worry and told me that my fiancé Ethan had customized 2 limited edition wedding dresses and the other one would be flown to the store in 3 days. After leaving the bridal store, I went to the wedding venue that was being set up. To my surprise, Nathan followed me. He stood in the nearly decorated venue and froze, completely speechless. Olivia, I didn't realize your family was so rich. This wedding venue is even more extravagant than in the movies, since your dowry is so generous. I'll reluctantly throw you a wedding. Your wedding has to be behind Isabella's. That's the rule? It just so happens that Isabella and I haven't found a suitable wedding venue yet. I think we'll have both weddings here. Isabella and I will do it first in the morning, and I'll do it with you in the afternoon. If Isabella were to wear that wedding dress today, stand in such a gorgeous wedding venue, and say her wedding vows with me, it would be the happiest moment of my life. Nathan and I have been together for 10 years and have fantasized many times about what our wedding would be like. But every time the subject came up, he always seemed impatient, thinking that I would only think about such unrealistic things. I originally thought he didn't like formal weddings and thought it was his personality. But now, it seems that he is actually just not looking forward to the wedding with me. Seeing the gleam in Nathan's eyes, I once again felt remorse for being blind. I stared at him with contempt, my tone cold. Nathan, you're so thick-skinned that you can actually say such things. Let me emphasize once again, the person I'm marrying is not you. This wedding scene is also for you. I didn't want to continue arguing with this kind of person and called security to get rid of him. Nathan reminded me in a loud voice as he was being dragged away by force. Olivia, don't forget to ask Mom and Dad to transfer our family business to me at the wedding. A week later, it was finally Ethan and I's wedding day. I arrived at the wedding site early that day to get ready. As soon as I stepped out backstage in my beautiful wedding dress, I ran into Nathan, who looked terrible. He was full of displeasure and asked me in a low voice, Olivia, what's wrong with you? Didn't we agree that our wedding would be in the afternoon? How am I supposed to explain to Isabella that you're so early? I was really lazy and waved my hand for him to leave quickly. Olivia, I think you're just trying to mess up my wedding with Isabella. Why are you so devious that you don't even know the first thing about it? But when he saw the transfer agreement in the red wedding tray behind me, his face was obviously much better, and his voice carried a bit of urgency. Mom and Dad are really true to their word. And the agreement is all ready. Then let's do it this way. I'll discuss it with Isabella first. Let's do this wedding first. But you can't go too far. Isabella always has to be above you. As he spoke, he picked up the agreement and looked it over carefully, occasionally commenting on its contents with his lawyerly expertise. When he saw the signature on the last page, his face immediately changed. Why isn't my name on it? And who is Ethan? Nathan was so angry that he pointed at the signatures on the agreement. His eyes filled with rage as if he wanted to devour me. I looked at him with raised eyebrows and let out a cold laugh, snatched my transfer agreement over, and gave him a disgusted look saying, What do you think you are? Still want me to let you have the family business? Not worthy at all. After saying that, I got someone to put away the contents of the joy plate so that it wouldn't be taken away by some people who didn't know any better. Then Ethan, dressed in a suit the same color as mine, slowly walked over to me and stood firmly next to me, His fingers interlocked. He glanced offhandedly toward Nathan and said in a cold tone, "Are you the one who's been pestering my fiancé? Do you want to hang around here? You even want to miss the people around me?" After saying that, he gave a look, and the hotel security immediately rushed over to hold Nathan down. Just like a thief, he was pinned to the ground by a couple of security guards, staring at me very angrily, yelling, "Enough. Olivia, you have to tell them to let me go, or I won't marry you." I looked at him a little surprised. I thought he was a lawyer. His brain should be good. How come he couldn't understand even the basic words? I held back the anger in my heart, walked over and picked up the bottle of wine on the table and knocked him on the head. In that instant, the wine and blood mixed together, and Nathan's eyes were a little misty, as if he didn't expect me to be so bold. I took 2 steps back, carrying my customized wedding dress, and gave him a disgusted look, saying, "Don't get any more of these ideas. I'm warning you, if you bother me again, I'll be really rude." After saying that, I turned my head, gave Ethan a look, took his hand and walked towards the wedding hall, and said softly, "Let's get started. Don't let these troubles hold up the good times when we get married. If he doesn't know any better, I'll take care of it myself." After saying that, I glanced at Nathan and directly pulled Ethan into the wedding hall. There were mumbles from behind me as Nathan's mouth was covered. But no one paid any attention to him. After all, he was just a less important person. I purposely left the door to the auditorium open a crack so Nathan could get a clear view of my happiness, so I wouldn't have to worry about him bothering me. Ethan took my hand and slowly walked towards the stage where we made our vows to each other in front of our friends and family. He put a 10-carat diamond ring on my finger. After the wedding, he carefully helped me into the backstage. As soon as I entered, I saw Nathan's lugubrious appearance, still in the same position we had left him in, while his mistress, Isabella, was crouching not far away in a very plain wedding dress. As soon as she saw me come in, Isabella immediately stood up, pointed at me, and cursed loudly. "You pilgrim, you're already Nathan's woman. Why are you still screwing other men? How can you still be here?" I laughed softly at her and walked up and slapped her. Isabella covered her face and was just about to speak when I cut her off. I looked to the security guard next to me and whispered, "You guys please ask that couple to leave. Don't affect me and my husband's mood." After saying that, I pulled Ethan into the changing room. By the time we came out, their shadows were nowhere to be found, and the floor was tidied up as if they had never been there. Ethan and I got changed and took the car back to my family's villa. This was specially prepared for me by my parents, fearing that I would be uncomfortable living in my in-laws' home. I didn't expect to see a familiar figure knocking on the glass in front of the rear car door just as we arrived at the door, saying, "Olivia, open the door. I know you're angry with me because you think I'm favoring Isabella. That's why you're looking for this person to be angry with me. I've made a deal with Isabella that she'll never be able to compare to you in the future." I frowned as I listened to Nathan say these things, annoyed. He was being held down by the security guards. His suit was torn and covered in dirt, and he looked pretty beat up. I looked at him with some blood still on his forehead and couldn't help but say to him, "Can't you understand what I'm saying? Why is it so hard to communicate with you? I originally wanted to not make things difficult for you. Who knew that you were making trouble for yourself here?" I shouted towards the gate of the villa, resulting in a group of bodyguards immediately running out from inside. I pointed at Nathan and said to them, "You guys take care of this troublemaker. If you let him leave unharmed today, you all get the hell out of here." Then I looked over to Isabella, who was not far away with her skirt showing, and said, "There is another one over there who is eavesdropping. Catch her and teach her a good lesson, so that they will understand who they should be pestering and who they shouldn't be pestering." I told the driver to pull into the villa, and behind me came Isabella's frightened pleas for mercy and Nathan's agonized wails. I turned my head to look at him with disdain and mockery in my eyes. It's so naive for one like him to want something that doesn't belong to him. Ethan saw my angry face and couldn't help but smile and touch my head, saying softly, "You're still too kind if you ask me. You should teach those two a good lesson so that they won't dare to come back." I looked at him, nodded, thought seriously, and said, "Next time if they come back to bother me, let you step in." After saying that, I took his hand and showed him around our house. It was already afternoon after the villa tour, and I could no longer hear their noise outside, so it seemed to be gone. Ethan and I changed into our swimsuits and swam in the pool, looking at his firm 8-pack abs and thinking about Nathan's stomach. I couldn't help but shake my head. How come I liked that douche so much before? This tall, handsome guy in front of me is so attractive. Thinking of this, a rush went through me, and I immediately rushed over to hug him and casually touch him twice. His abs were very elastic and felt good to touch. I really wanted to touch them more. Ethan's eyes darkened and his voice lowered. Olivia, don't do this. It's too dangerous. I saw the suppressed emotion in his eyes and gently kissed him on the corner of his mouth, winked mischievously, and said with a smile, then come and catch me. Catching up to me will help you out. Ethan quickly catches up behind me, his eyes lighting up so brightly that I feel as drawn to them as I do. He gently kissed me on the forehead and said, go put out the fire? I was carried back to the bedroom by him like a white rabbit. The bed kept shaking and I took 3 showers alone. Until finally, I couldn't hold on any longer and looked at him with a pitiful face and pleaded, I really can't take it anymore. Please let me go. Let's compete again tomorrow. After that, my eyelids felt like they were glued shut and I couldn't open them anymore. The next morning, I woke up to the sunlight and saw Ethan's side face was especially nice. So I went over and gave him a kiss. We had to go to my parents together today, so we could only be sweet for a little while before we got up. As we walked to the dining room, the butler frowned and put the tablet in front of me and respectfully said, Miss, the 2 guys who were at the door yesterday have gone to the hospital to get checked out for injuries, and they're still complaining about it on the air. I put down my sandwich and picked up the tablet to take a look. Now that Ethan and I's names are on the hot seat, Isabella and Nathan have opened a new account and are live streaming to show off their injuries. Unknown netizens are being taken in by them, accusing Ethan and I of doing whatever we want just because we're rich. The background addresses and phone numbers of both of our families were exposed. When I saw Isabella crying, I felt very uncomfortable and my fists were clenched. Don't blame me for being rude when they treat us like this. Ethan was in a hurry to go to the office to take care of his work, so I went out with his coworkers and went to the bridal store. Ethan had ordered 2 wedding dresses for me, but the first one had a big rip from Isabella. I went into the bridal store and asked the staff to pull up the security video from that day, which clearly showed Isabella trying to wear the wedding dress I was wearing and accidentally breaking it in the scramble. After I got the video and saw that the wedding dress was ruined, I immediately decided to call the police. It didn't take long for the police to arrive. The people around me trying on wedding dresses recognized me as the rich girl as soon as they looked at me. Everyone took out their cell phones and started recording. After the police understood what happened, they quickly took the wedding dress and invoice away and called Isabella and Nathan in for questioning. They were live streaming, and when the cell phone call came through, the police voice came through the live stream. This suddenly got complicated because I had uploaded the video online. Now that the once victim had become the abuser, they could no longer pretend to be pathetic. The 3 of us meet at the police station, and as soon as Nathan sees me, he immediately and enthusiastically comes over to draw closer. Olivia, what are you doing? Why are you so outgoing? We're all family. I saw the look on his face and shook my phone to record his greedy look. Isn't it just on the air? It's clear with anyone. It's a simple matter. Although my bodyguards did strike, it was only a superficial injury. Not even a bone was hurt. So I'll pay for the medical expenses and they'll pay for my wedding dress. I can still make another $1 million or so. It's really no loss. Isabella hears that they are going to pay me more than $1 million. Immediately her face becomes very bad. She stands up and points at me angrily. I don't believe it. You must be in cahoots with them. The wedding dress costs $1 million. Why don't you go and rob it? I looked at her and raised my eyebrows and smiled. You can think what you want. I will definitely pursue to the end. I walked out of the police station after I finished speaking. Now, the 2 of them had been pressed to the ground by me, really losing face. I wasn't worried that they couldn't get the money. I had spent a lot of money on Nathan for his schooling over the years, and he definitely had money in his hands now. The next day, I got a call from the police, and they said they didn't have any money and wanted to discuss with me if they could pay less. I directly posted the records of the transfers I made to Nathan over the years, which added up to over $1 million. Even if I've spent a lot, it's not like I don't have a penny. When the police received my proof of transfer, they immediately handed it over to the court to apply for enforcement. After investigation, it was found that there were 2 houses under his name, worth $1 million, which could be used to offset the debt. Under the court's enforcement, both houses were transferred to my name. I simply do not care about his house. Turned to be ready to low-priced mail auction to the court to deal with. After 3 rounds of bidding, I ended up with $1 million for the houses. Nathan was so upset that I took the house in his name that he ran to the front of my villa and made a scene. The big iron gate of my house has an electronic lock, so he easily opened it and took Isabella into my house. Isabella's mouth dropped open in surprise as she came here for the first time and had never seen such a luxurious place. She looked everywhere, her eyes full of amazement. Soon they went into my bedroom safe. I've brought Nathan here a few times before, and he knows my combination. But he didn't know that my villa had surveillance everywhere. Even the bedroom had a camera facing the safe. I sat in front of my computer and watched as they opened the safe and took out my expensive jewelry. Shortly afterward, they left my villa with a small bag full of stuff. I then got someone to follow them. Those 2 immediately took the jewelry to a used jewelry market. This time, Nathan became cautious, saying he couldn't show up in person as a lawyer, and left Isabella to sell the jewelry. He knew that everything in my safe was authentic and worth a lot of money each. So he didn't dare take the risk. But Isabella, coming from the countryside, didn't have the slightest idea what it meant to be guilty of stealing large amounts of property. And she went to the second-hand market in high spirits. The owner of the second-hand jewelry recycling store looked at the jewels and returned them straight away. Saying, "Sorry, we don't take fakes," Isabella glared at the owner angrily and said resentfully, "These are the ones I took out of the safe? How can they be fake?" "You look again." The boss shook his head helplessly and threw the things in front of her, saying with a savage disinterest, "Go away, go away. Do you think I am doing charity here? Still want to cheat me with fake goods? Hurry up and leave. Don't affect my business." Isabella walks out of the jewelry store with a huge pile of jewelry in her hand. Gritting her teeth, she had seen the riches of my family and was even more certain that these jewels were real. It was just that the store owner had no vision. So, with the intention of going to talk to Nathan, she saw him in the corner and waved him over. Nathan sees her come out and smiles, ready to walk over to her, but suddenly realizes that there are 2 cops next to Isabella holding her down. He panicked for a moment, and without much thought turned and ran out the door. Isabella looked at her favorite person helplessly, feeling lost inside, feeling that he had left her behind at the sight of the police. She kept struggling, pointing to Nathan not far away and shouting that it was him. "He's the one who did it. I don't know anything about it, unfortunately." The police weren't going to believe she was innocent. It wasn't long before she was taken to the police station. I was waiting for her early in the office with the receipt. When she saw me, Isabella said angrily, "You're an outrageous person. All these things are fake. How dare you call the police? Quickly let the police release me." I looked at her and laughed softly, coldly. Shook the invoice in my hand and said carelessly, "Do you say this is fake? But I have the invoice in my hand. Instead, I think it was you and Nathan who turned my real jewelry into a fake." After reading my invoice, the police confirmed that all those jewels were real and immediately estimated the price. Then they seriously said to Isabella, "These jewels are worth more than $10 million. You hurry up and find the real ones. Otherwise you might go to jail." Isabella turned pale, threw the fake jewelry in her hand, and said to the police with a trembling voice, "I don't know. Nathan told me to do it. It's all him. He's a lawyer. I'm going to let him save me." I couldn't help but let out a laugh when I saw her looking so crazy and said, "Do you really think he'd still love you by now? I'm telling you, he's run away now. He's a lawyer. Doesn't he know how serious the consequences of stealing are? He doesn't want to care about you anymore." Isabella looked at me with incredulity and shook her head. She wanted to argue, but silently shut her mouth when she thought of the way Nathan ran away without a second thought when he saw the police. I could see that she had realized the reality of the situation, so I whispered slowly in her ear that Nathan hadn't acted very honorably these past few years. "I know you have evidence about that. If you're willing to talk about it, I'll expose the video of you guys stealing my safe after all. He's the one who really did it?" Isabella blinked, thought for a long time, and finally made up her mind, handed me a flash drive and said exasperatedly, "Here's the stuff. You'll have to help me prove to the police that I didn't do anything wrong." I took the flash drive, checked the contents, and then sent my surveillance video to the police. Nathan has colluded with teachers at school over the years to plagiarize other people's research. And he has also used his rich status to bully female students who are from difficult families. Isabella saw all the bad things he did, but she was worried that he would abandon her when he got rich. So she secretly recorded this flash drive. According to my video, the real murderer who stole the jewelry was Nathan, and Isabella was just the one who helped. So she got 5 years. The police started to track down Nathan with all their might in order to retrieve my jewelry. After he saw Isabella being taken away from the second-hand market, he rushed back to his rented house, packed up his things, and then lost contact. According to the evidence provided by Isabella, Nathan probably didn't have much of a chance, and the police started searching for him all over the net. At this point, Nathan is hiding in a poor urban village, living on just cookies and mineral water every day. He was so angry when he saw the news that he directly smashed his cell phone, cursing, "Isabella, this person, how dare she betray me? I will not let her go. I have given up so much to give her a better life. It's so infuriating." He now regrets it, thinking about how there is no way out anymore. The police launched a massive manhunt all over the city, and Nathan was soon caught. When I saw him on TV, he looked disheveled, his whole body looked dirty, and he was completely devoid of the spirit-filled look he had before. I couldn't help but sneer. He had brought this all on himself. If he hadn't been so greedy in his heart, how would he have ended up in such a state? Nathan didn't hide what he did after he was put in prison. Because the evidence was very clear, and because my precious jewelry had disappeared, he was finally sentenced to life imprisonment. On the day he was sentenced, I made a special trip to the prison to take a look at him, and with a hint of contempt I said, "Nathan, I didn't think you'd have this day, did you? Guess why there was no one in the villa that day?" Nathan, having gone to school for so many years, should easily understand the meaning of my words. He clenched his fists angrily, pounded the table, looked at me with a gloomy face, and questioned loudly, "Are you the one who is counting on me? You're such a shameless person. How dare you lay your hands on me?" I laughed easily, covered my stomach, and said bluntly, "People like you only know how to put the blame on others. There is no way to realize your own mistakes. Did I force you to steal jewelry from my house? What does it matter if I hang out with Isabella? This is a choice you made yourself, and you can only reflect on yourself here in the future. After that, I carefully stood up, rubbed my stomach, and walked out. Nathan's eyes reddened as he stared at my stomach, excitedly yelling, "You're actually pregnant with his child. This can't be. You're supposed to be my woman. You're supposed to bear my child. How did it come to this? It's impossible." I didn't turn around and gently stroked my stomach as I walked out of the prison. Nathan had been completely destroyed by me, and Isabella had gotten what she deserved. The rest of my life had nothing to do with them anymore. After walking out of the prison, Ethan smiled and took my hand in the car. "Tired? The doctor said you need to get some rest, and when you're back on your feet, I'll take you south for a while to relax." I smiled and took his hand, placing it on my stomach. Even though I had just found out I was pregnant and the baby inside hadn't moved yet, I still wanted him to feel it. There was a life being birthed in here, a labor of love for Ethan and I, the most precious being in my life. Ethan smiled and let me lean on his shoulder, gently stroking my head and softly soothingly saying, "Get some sleep. When you wake up, you'll be home. Olivia, I swear I'll always hold your hand and won't let you down like that asshole did." I looked at the seriousness and sincerity in his eyes. Tears of happiness flowed down my cheeks. I gently nodded my head in response. "Okay, I understand. I will never leave you in this lifetime. I love you and will never change." I haven't said something so direct since I got engaged to Ethan. He winked when he heard me say that and then kissed me on the forehead. "Olivia, I love you too and will never regret this life." The car ride was bumpy, and I was soon in dreamland. This dream was beautiful and blissful. As soon as I opened my eyes, I smiled at the sight of Ethan's bright eyes and took his hand as we walked together to our beloved home. The good life, here I come.